Hi, I'm Dave Scott, a livestock specialist for the National Center for Appropriate Technology. And today it's shearing day at our farm. And my wife and I, we have about 230 ewes, and today is the day. It's mid-February, it's 40 degrees out, which is pretty nice for Montana. And we just wanted to visit a little bit today about the considerations you need to tend to before shearing, during shearing, and after shearing. First of all, why shear? Well, the main reason that comes to mind is it's there, right? It's a crop that you can harvest and it's worth something. These ewes that we have today will probably net us about $2,300 if the market is right, and it's a pretty good day's work. Secondly, shearing turns on a switch in that ewe that is very handy. The last 6 months of her gestation, the lambs inside a ewe grow in size by 4 times. And so when you shear the ewe, that switch turns on her appetite so that she starts eating more. Usually our ewes, they're about 160 pounds, and they generally eat about 4.5 to 5 pounds a day of hay before you shear them, and just within a few days after you shear, they're up to about 6 pounds. So they gain 1 pound to 1.5 pounds just by shearing them, and that helps them meet their physiological needs to carry those lambs all the way to term. And remember, a lot of these ewes, probably almost a third of them, are going to have triplets and some quads, so it is an issue in our flock. Secondly, there's the lamb to be concerned about. Lambs, when they're newborn, their first most important thing that they can do within minutes is to get up and suck. And when those ewes when they have the wool around their udder and their legs, sometimes the newborns, they just can't find the spigot. So when the ewe is shorn, it's very easy for them to locate the teat. Secondly, and almost tragically, sometimes when the ewe that has a full fleece on, she lays on the lambs and she doesn't even know it, and so that's you're in bad shape if you're that lamb. But if you have a ewe that is shorn, a lot of times she knows where she's laying down and who she's laying down against. So with that, why don't we just consider a little bit what we do before shearing, during shearing, and after shearing. Shall we go? It is best to withhold feed and water from sheep before shearing. A full rumen can kill sheep as they are shorn. They are also harder to shear. Many shearers will recommend a 24-hour fast. This means that by the end of the day, the last sheep have gone without feed for 36 hours. For those ewes with triplets and quads in them, we feel that this is too long. Abortions can occur, especially if they are within a month of lambing. We withhold feed for no more than 12 hours. Sheep are very smart, and even though it's for their benefit, they do not like to be shorn. You really can't blame them. Sheep have very good memories. They remember the shearing setup and often will not go into the shearing race voluntarily. The solution? Attempt to fool them. Route the sheep around the shearing platform so they cannot see it as they approach. Have the entrance to the shearing race blocked off visibly. You can also take advantage of the fact that animals always like to return back to where they came from. Position the shearing race so that the sheep are returning to home as they enter the race. If possible, change the pathway to the shearing platform every year. A tub is a very handy device to move the sheep into the shearing race. In the lane leading up to the race, position the lane gates at convenient intervals to prevent the sheep from turning around and going back. If you can, have 30 to 40 feet of empty lane between groups. This way they will not be so apt to run back to the group behind them. It's nice to have a corner 30 feet before the tub. This focuses the sheep on moving forward into the tub. There are a few considerations that you can tend to make the shearing process itself go smoothly. First, watch the weather. Unless you have a heated barn, do not shear if the night temperatures are forecasted to be below 0. It's too hard on the sheep, even if they have a shed bedded with lots of straw. Second, make everything as easy as you can for your shearing crew. They are the people of the day. Have things ready when they show up. Third, shearing requires manpower and lots of it. Put knowledgeable people at key jobs. Often, lots of folks want to help, which is great and fun for everyone. Match inexperience with experience and patience where a soft hand is needed the most, notably where the sheep are being handled. Go easy on the sheep. They have babies in them that will be born in a month. Graciously demand a quality job. These are your sheep. Tell a shearer that is new to your operation that you would like to be told of any major mishap, such as a cut teat, injured hamstring, etc. While accidents can occur, this simple request often lets the shearer politely know that you are not just getting the wool off. You want nicely shorn sheep that are as least stressed as possible. As you can see, we are very fortunate to have a skilled team of shearers that come back every year. So, be in the place that you can watch the shearing, and in particular can observe the sheep when they leave the shearing floor. This usually means handling the wool. Are there too many nicks? Is there a pattern to the nicks? Determining when you must step in and halt the shearing because of concerns takes experience. However, you are their shepherd, and your sheep depend on you. Don't let them down. The second most important position on shearing day is the cook. Shearing dinner is one of the highlights, if not the highlight, of the day. It is a time for people to gather round and swap yarns, tell of the good old days, welcome the newcomers, and to listen. Be sure to thank the one who prepares the lamb stew. After your sheep are shorn, remember that they have been fasting for 12 to 24 hours. Their immediate needs are water, feed, and shelter. If you shear your sheep 5 to 6 weeks before lambing, you can use the shearing process to turn on that appetite switch that we talked about earlier. Immediately after shearing, give your sheep access to a high-quality forage and lots of it. If you have a lot of multiple births, consider feeding a pound of barley or corn per day for the last 6 weeks of gestation. Failure to do this will bring about weak or stillborn lambs, pregnancy disease, poor milk, and pneumonia. Do you detect a note of dismay? Yes, I am speaking from experience. These sheep have been off feed and water for 12 hours. That makes them easier to shear, and it helps the sheep also. It's not so tough on them. And so one of the main things you want to have when they're done shearing, go right back out to, is a full manger here. And you can see that we've got our hay ready to go, ready to toss into the manger, and then they can eat it right then and there. And they also have immediate access to water. So that's the main thing to keep these sheep on a level plane of little stress as you can while you're shearing. This hay is it's been chopped, and it's alfalfa hay. It runs about 160% relative feed value. In our opinion, it's just what the sheep needs right now. It's full of energy, very high in protein, and it gets them back on their 4 feet again after the shearing. Your shorn ewes will also need a place to get out of the weather. The shorn tip of each wool fiber remains open for 3 days. Any cold moisture will wick directly into the body of the ewe, causing hypothermia, pneumonia, and often death. Each year, as we shear our sheep, I am reminded of a story that an old Montana shearer told me. It happened before weather reports were common. One May, an unforeseen spring storm came through eastern Montana with driving snow and very cold temperatures. Tens of thousands of sheep were lost in a matter of days. A barn is very important. The first week after shearing is critical. After 2 weeks, they can handle a lot. Offer your ewes free access to a barn with lots of deep straw until lambing. So, I hope you've enjoyed this little video and that you remember that keeping the stress off that ewe during the shearing will set the stage for a happy lambing and a successful lambing period. I hope this video has helped you a little bit, and if you have any questions at all or just wish to talk shop with me, I'd be glad to talk to you. You can reach me by email at daves@ncat.org or by phone 406-533-6642. Thank you very much for listening.